Hello, hello, and good morning. Hi, everyone. Welcome to this week's Duchan Method, where I am streaming for the first time on YouTube today, and I hope that it's going well so far. So, if you are here and you are obviously on YouTube, I'm going to post a little comment here. Good morning, everyone. Welcome. I'm trying to see if we can see each other, view each other. I just wrote a good morning, everyone. Welcome. Maybe Nelson, if you can see that, let me know. Let me know if you can see my message to everyone. And if you are joining from Facebook and you clicked on the square that says join live now, you're going to be able to see me and you're going to be able to hear me. However, if you don't have a YouTube account, you have to create a YouTube account. You won't be able to comment. So, Nelson, just so you know, I am only working from StreamYard because I had YouTube also open and there was a delay in my presentation. So I'm hoping that whoever is here can hear me and you can maybe write a little comment and let me know that you're here and that you can in fact hear me, because we're trying this for the first time. And I'm pretty excited about it because I'm trying to build my YouTube presence, which is why I'm doing it from this way. And there are other logistical reasons why it's actually more interesting for me to do it from YouTube. Hey, good morning. We have Sabi here. Hi, Anne Marie and all the tribe. Sabi and her mom. We can hear you well. Awesome. Thank you, Sabi. Thank you. And you're commenting in YouTube and it's showing up. So that's super awesome. Thank you. Good morning. Bon matin, Sabi. Bon matin, Mama. Bienvenue. Bienvenue to this week's Duchan Method Live. And this is where I invite you into discovering mind body alignment connections. How does our mind and body relate to one another? How does it all work? And so I do these every week to invite you into this circle of creation. And what I love most about it is because I want to invite you to engage. I want to invite you to interact with me. So if you have any questions, any comments along the way, and as you start to come on the live stream, the rest of you, leave a little comment in the YouTube chat so that I know that you are here. Okay, so without further ado, I'm going to play my short intro, and I'm doing that because I'm also testing things this week to make sure that actually it all works. So whoever's here, here comes my intro. Enjoy it and let me know that you've seen it. Awesome. Thank you so much. Let me know if you were able to see that and hear that properly. That really helps me to figure this out this week as we're embarking on this new social media outlet. All right, my friends, without further ado, I am so stoked because this month at Art of Alignment Academy and around the world, we are celebrating Women's Her Story Month. And why this is exciting in my line of work is because it gives me a chance to really bring to you some information about the lifelong, humanity-long her story of women who have been healers and physicians in their own rights over the world or throughout the world. And so I wanted to open up our class today with a very simple acknowledgement of women in a few different parts of the world. And that was part of my newsletter last week. And I wanted to reiterate it in case you had not had the chance to read it in its totality. And so I want to start with Egypt. In Egypt, priestesses of Isis in the 2nd century were regarded as physician healers who took their healing powers from the goddess Isis. Now, this is in the 2nd century. So that's quite a while ago. This is 2023. So we could say 2021 or 2021 years ago. Over 2,000 years ago, women were already the healers of their communities, already regarded as physicians and healers. And of course, not surprisingly, because women, we really do have that feminine energy. And I'm mindful of saying women because there are people who identify as women as well. And in this case, I'm really particularly talking about women who came into the world as women and really were seen as healers, really were seen as physicians in their environment, in their culture. So that was in Egypt, right? So then we had the most famous early Roman healer, who was a woman named Fabiola. She lived in the 4th century. Look how far, right? 4th century, and is known as an important part of the creation of the first public hospital in Europe. That was 2,000 years ago. In China, the wife of physician Ji Hongbao Gu is credited with being the first to use dried mugwort, which is like a needle. They use it as an acupuncture needle, and it was known as a skilled acupuncturist, an external medical doctor. In Greece, a woman named Agnodice attended medical school, breaking the rules that prohibited women from entering the healing field in ancient Greece. Women are always rule breakers, aren't we? She practiced obstetrics and gynecology, right? Resulting in the updating of Greece's laws. So this was a really important woman physician of her time in Greece. She had the power as an obstetric medical doctor and gynecologist to change the laws in Greece in reference to women's health. This is super amazing and important stuff that we don't really hear about ever, do we? So today I just want to take a moment to honor these women. And one of my favorites personally was Hildegard von Bingen, who was a German abbess and who was often called the founder of scientific natural history in Germany. And an abbess in those days was a high nun who was in charge of the abbey, of the nunnery. So we can see here that women practitioners and healers were super active in the ancient world and focused their healing knowledge and wisdom to integrate mind-body health. So when I'm talking about mind-body alignment, mind-body health, this is not a new concept. It's a newer concept today because we got so far away from mind-body health over the years, focusing on a singular scientific approach, which was very male energy driven. And what do I mean by male energy? I don't mean only men. Male energy, in this case, it was mostly men over time who were given the right to raise in the scientific status of their culture, and women were not encouraged to do that. And so there was a time there in her story, in history, where women were pushed aside. Sound familiar? And that the male population, men, actually were able to go higher in the ranks of medicine And then through the discoveries that Da Vinci, for example, really was a huge proponent for learning about the insides of the human body, right? Dissections, which were happening way before him. However, he is very well known for that, for his drawings and how he got to understand the human body. And at that time, there were no or very, very few known women who were in those circles because they were not allowed. So when you think about it, it's not that long ago that women were welcomed into the sphere of medicine. And women, from what I just shared with you, always had the invitation, the approach of mind-body alignment, which today, in most allopathic environments, which are medical hospitals, there is very little regard for mind-body alignment, for mind-body medicine. It's very much focused on the disease and how to fix the disease by offering medication, by offering pharmaceuticals. So more and more today, such as myself, we are definitely seeing a resurgence in mind-body medicine, right? We're accessing our powers of healing by listening to the wisdom of our inner laboratory, which is our bodies, which is what I am committed to doing in this work, is to assist us to come back to center, to come back to listening to our bodies, to better identify what's going on with us so that we can find our own inner healer of sorts. And it's important that I share with you here excuse me, that it does not discredit the importance of medicine or allopathic medicine. Certainly, I'm grateful that we have clinics and we have hospitals that really can take care of us when we are in need of those. However, what's occurred today is that at the drop of an ailment, right, so to speak, as soon as people don't feel well, they tend to run to the clinic or to the hospital to be told by a doctor if they're okay or not. And what I want to share here is that we have the power. We have the power of knowing whether we are okay or not by simply sensing and using very simple tools that I've been sharing with you over the past months to check in on a deeper level with yourself and to start to educate yourselves on your body, how your body works, which is also my goal in doing these classes. Okay, I just want to check in and see who else is here. Hi, thank you, Sabi. We've seen your intro and it's very beautiful. Okay, awesome. Thank you so much for the feedback. So, one of the things we're focusing on this month are women's bodies. And the truth about women's bodies is that we are the source of procreation, right? We give birth, and we are also the source of transformation. And women's bodies go through a lot in a lifetime. We have obviously our teenage years where we go through menstrual cycles, we have hormonal changes, we become pregnant, we give birth, then we have to recover from birth. And then once we're done with that process of moving through procreation, we tend to get a little older, and then we'll go through the menopausal phase of our lives. And then there is the post-menopausal phase of our lives. So women's bodies go through a lot in one lifetime. And still to this day, what is always more difficult to find, even when I'm researching, is to find where deep research is being done for women's conditions or diseases, such as lupus, such as, breast cancer. I mean, how much do we hear about breast cancer, and how many women have gone through breast cancer? Now, I have my own theories around these types of diseases and also autoimmune diseases. I really feel that this starts a lot with the earth that we grow food in. So our food sources, I think, are affected by this, which of course affects our bodies significantly. And in this case in particular, women's bodies. So, excuse me. Because I'm trained as a structural integration practitioner and manual osteopath, I really wanted to expand upon this topic this month, starting with the structure of our body. They're all important, but certainly a very significant structure in our body that communicates information throughout the whole body, throughout the mind, throughout your heart, your organs, your physicality, your musculoskeletal structure, right? So I really wanted to focus on starting with a very important structure of the body that also helps us to maintain health throughout our entire bodies, and also posturally. How we stand in the world physically has a lot to do with how we feel about ourselves. So if you haven't guessed it yet, I want to talk about our spinal column. I want to talk about the spine and why it's important. The vertebrae in relationship to your spinal cord. And we're going to develop a little bit more knowledge. Hopefully this is helpful to you, where you can get to know a little bit more about how your spinal column works. And for this, I wanted to share a picture with you to start, and let me know if you can see this picture well. I hope it's not too small, but let me know if you can see this picture. Just give me a 1 in the comments if you can see the spinal column, and I just want to talk you through it. And just give me a 1 in the comments. Let me check if you are all seeing this. And I'm going to talk. Awesome. Thank you so much for letting me know. I'm going to leave this here and talk to you through it so that you get a moment to really look at how that works, right? Starting at the cervical spine, at the atlas, at the very top. And then they are specifically coded with different colors. So you get a sense of where I'm going to take you as you are looking at this picture. So first of all, let's talk about what is the spinal cord. Well, first of all, what you're looking at here is the spine itself. So you have the bone structure of your spine, and we're seeing the different parts of your spine here, starting at the top with the very purple, that singular bone, which is your atlas. And then we're moving down into the blue area, which is your cervical spine. And then we're moving through the mid-body. Look how long that thoracic spine is. That is the longest part of your spine. And if you're looking to the left of that, you're going to see that all of your ribs attach at the spine. Actually, there are 2 ribs that do not attach at the spine. They are your 11th and 12th rib, which are all the way at the bottom. But look how long that thoracic spine is. And that thoracic spine, my friends, is part of the body that is the most challenging to get to move and to undulate, because it's so long and it carries so much information based on what is in front of it. So you can see that your thoracic spine pretty much holds all of your abdominal viscera, right? If you're looking at the rib cage, the grayed out rib cage in front of it. So we have the thoracic spine, which is magnificent. Then we have your lumbar spine, the lower spine. And you see that beautiful natural curve that occurs at the lumbar spine. And that is so helpful for the movement of your hips and your pelvis. So we have the lumbar spine here. We have 5 beautiful lumbars that go into this one big bone, which is called the sacrum. You can see it in orange. A beautiful sacrum that ends at the very tip with the coccyx. Now, you may or may not know this, but the sacrum and the coccyx have a joint between them. So this little red coccyx at the bottom of your spine here is a free floating, free moving bone on its own. And then I'm going to let you explore this as I speak with you a little bit longer. And then you can see, I love the reflexology charts personally, because that's what I mostly work with in my own work, that all of the spinal vertebra are related to your heart, brain, to your nervous system, and of course, to your viscera. And so within this beautiful spinal column, we find a spinal cord. Now, what's the spinal cord? The spinal cord is a cylindrical structure that runs through the center of your spine, all the way from your brainstem, right, which is all the way up there at the atlas, to your low back. The spinal cord is inside your vertebra, and it contains nerve bundles and cells that carry messages from your brain to the rest of your body. So the spinal cord is one of the main parts of your nervous system. So now, what's the difference between your spinal cord and the vertebral column, which is what you're looking at now? People look at both of those as a joint architectural model in the body. So the vertebral column and the spinal cord are seen together as the spine, except that your spinal cord is a band of tissues inside of your vertebra. There's a protective layer of bone, right, around the spinal cord. That's your vertebral column. It covers and protects your spinal cord. So what's the function? What is the purpose of this spinal cord? So I hope that you've seen a good amount here. Let me go back to me for a moment. All right, so I hope that it was helpful to look at that and to see this beautiful curvature in the spine, right? And why I'm bringing the spine to the fore as our first class this month for Women's Herstory Month is because the more we know about how to take care of our spinal column, of our vertebra, the better we tend to live. And a lot of the time, what we don't understand in the body, when you're going to see someone who is either, a physical therapist, or some people go see chiropractors, some people see osteopaths like myself, structural integrators. The idea with the spinal column and the way that I work with the body is really that if there's pain that is showing at your lower back, for example, it's not necessarily going to be the first place that I explore. Because as you just saw, that beautiful curve of your spinal column, your vertebral column, there might be some impingements at a higher level in the body that is causing the pain at the lower back. This is also true through the body. So you have some pain in your back, but in fact, the reason why it's showing up in your back is because your viscera, your organs, your intestines are out of alignment. They might be compressed. For example, people who suffer from constipation, there is something that is not pumping properly inside of the viscera, which can creates significant lower back pain. So in the work that I do in structural integration, right, we're really working on creating more space in the vertebral column and the spinal cord by addressing the entire circumference of your vertebral column, not just the back line. We're addressing the side line and we're addressing the front line, which is so important. So if you do suffer from back pain, or you know someone that suffers from back pain, I know that in Europe and in Canada also, osteopaths are much more appreciated. There are many more of them. There's a whole study around it. In the United States, there are, I think, I'm not sure about this, but it seems to me that there are many more chiropractors. So this approach of fixing the body, I would say, tends to be more of a chiropractic approach, although it might have changed now, but from my experience, it's more about fixing or cracking or getting you into alignment in that way. And osteopathy is more about addressing the relationship of your spine, your spinal cord, your organs. Your breathing, for example, would be one of the first things that I ask you if you visited me in my office. Are you breathing properly? Because from the breath, we can already tell where there might be adhesions inside of the rib cage that is affecting your vertebral column. Does this make sense? If it does, give me a 1 in the comments. I want to know if you are tracking with me, if this is all coming together. And also, is it helpful to be able to see the picture of the spinal cord? I have another picture that I want to share with you. And this one is pretty exciting. And let me know if you can see this properly. You can, maybe I can make this larger here. Can I? A little bit. I'm not sure if you can make it larger on your end, but this is an amazing, amazing picture because, again, you can see the vertebral column, how it is separated into 4 parts from the back. So you see from the back, we're looking again at the atlas, the cervical spine, your thoracic spine, the lumbar spine, and your sacrum. And in this picture, because we are focusing on nerve function, you can see how every part of your spine in the back is correlated to the front of the spine, which then shows you which parts of your body are affected from the spine, right? So if you're looking more at the top of the cervical area of your spine, you can see there that, of course, we're dealing with the eyes. You're going to be dealing with the neck muscles. The conditions that could be showing up are headaches, migraines, dizziness. And so whenever people have migraines, for example, it's not so much to work directly on the head, but rather to see how these nerves are moving through the spine. And so the function and the purpose of your spinal cord, as you can see in this diagram, its main purpose is to carry nerve signals throughout your entire body. And these nerve messages have 3 crucial functions. So the first functions for these nerves that move through your spine is to control your body movements and functions. You will get signals from your brain to the other parts of your body that control your movements. They also direct, these nerves also direct autonomic. Autonomic means involuntary functions like your breathing and your heartbeat, right? These are autonomic system, which is involuntary, meaning your breathing and your heartbeat, they just happen automatically without you thinking about it. The other part of your autonomic involuntary functions is your bowel movements and your bladder functions. The spinal column also reports senses to your brain. So signals from other parts of your body will help your brain record and process sensations, for example, like pressure. So if I'm working on your body and I'm applying pressure to your body, you're going to feel it because the nerve system in your spinal column will communicate the information to your brain. Pain is also something that is processed, that is transmitted from the body to the brain. So the last crucial function that the nerve messages send throughout your body is that they actually manage your reflexes. Your spinal cord, right, that lives in your vertebral column, controls some reflexes such as involuntary movements without involving your brain. So there's a part of your spinal column that controls reflexes without involving your brain. For example, your spinal cord manages your patellar reflex, your patella. You know, when you go to the doctor and they give you a little hit on the knee and your leg automatically extends? So that is an involuntary movement that is controlled through those nerves that are moving through your body. Okay. So I hope that this is helpful, that this picture is helpful. I am going to come back on screen. And I was wondering maybe if anyone has any questions or comments. Let's see. Yes. I'm not seeing any comments or questions, but if you do have any, please feel free to share. And so I want to bring this into a circular motion, meaning I want to share with you why I'm talking about your vertebral column and your spinal cord to begin our Women's Month, is because in the work that I do, your capacity to move your spinal column is the path to healing a lot of your visceral discomforts. It has a lot to do with regulating your nervous system. Now that we know that we have this beautiful vertebral column, right? The bones that you saw at the beginning, inside of those is a beautiful a beautiful spinal cord. And that spinal cord has a lot to do with regulation of your nervous system. Yes, Sabi asks, would it be possible to post the last image on the Facebook group, please? Yes, of course, because it's so rich. Yes, thank you, Sabi, for the question. I am happy to post that on the Facebook group, and maybe I can post it again for a few moments if you like. Yeah, it's a pretty rich image, isn't it? There's a lot of information in there. And just looking at it, right? Just looking at it ignites some sense of curiosity. The colors that they used also for this picture, I thought was very effective. So yeah, I'm happy to keep the picture up a little bit longer. And then as I speak, you can see the correlation. So first of all, you see that there's this beautiful curve in your vertebral column. And so you can imagine if you look at the very back of your spine, you have these little bones sticking out, right? Your vertebra. Now, when these vertebrae, excuse me, get compressed, you can imagine that you also have nerves that get compressed. Now, if your nerves are getting compressed, there is going to be a correlating factor somewhere in your body that is going to feel pain or discomfort. So a very popular area where people will come in to see me is their lower back, in the lumbar spine. People will come in and say, oh, I have such pain in my lower back, in my lumbar spine. And of course, this can be correlated to your organs, your sexual organs, to your small intestine, to your large intestine, of course, to your upper legs, your hips, and your thighs. So, a lot of what happens in that lower lumbar area really affects a lot of what's going on inside of your organs. And so the reason that this is important to know, and I'm going to come back to me for a moment. So the reason why this is important is because from today forward, what I would like to invite you to consider is to really take the time to take care of your spinal column, to really understand that it is meant to move. It is meant to undulate. When you undulate your spinal column, you are enlivening the spinal cord, your main transistor circuitry to your nervous system. This is why I so frequently suggest that you find a roller and that you lay your spine, you lay back on a roller, a long foam roller. And one of the best ones that I have found out there is the one that was created by this really genius woman named Sue Hitzman. And Sue is the creator of the MELT method. So if you go to the meltmethod.com, you can buy one of those beautiful foam rollers. And why they're so great is because they're softer than the usual foam rollers. And she has a ton of videos on YouTube that help you, that teach you how to use the foam roller to regulate your nervous system. So all you would have to do to maintain a healthy, engaged, regulated nervous system would be to lie on your foam roller for 5 to 10 minutes every morning and let your body drop and melt into that foam roller. That alone helps to hydrate your fascial system, your connective tissue, and it is a deeply regulatory exercise to do, which is super simple. And when you do that, of course, when you regulate your nervous system by laying down, right? You can also do this with balls, right? You can lay down on some balls, tennis balls, nothing too hard. You position the tennis ball between your scapula, between the scapula is that bone behind your shoulder and your vertebra, right? And there are muscles there. And when you lay on the ball and you just breathe and gently release into it, no pushing, right? No efforting, just a gentle release into the foam roller or the ball really deeply helps to regulate your nervous system. And it hydrates the spine and all of the tissue around the spine. The other great exercise that you can do, and I really suggest this for everyone because it's fun, is you get a water-filled hula hoop. So you have hula hoops, and some of them, you can fill them with water. And what you do is you put your hula hoop on with water and you start to play with the hula hoop and you go in both directions. I'm better on the right side, but you go in both directions and you really let the rhythm of your hips and your spine, because that's an undulation exercise, isn't it? And you really let the hula hoop, you have to move your hips, you have to bend your knees. And that circular motion really helps with hydrating your vertebral column, the discs in your vertebral column, as well as your spinal cord. These are all regulatory nervous system exercises or regulating nervous system exercises. Once you regulate your spinal cord and you can undulate your vertebra, you are actually increasing the hydration and communication with your organs. So, my friends, the moral of the story for women's bodies, for men's bodies too, I'm specifically talking about women's bodies this month, her story is to get into movement, gentle movement, daily gentle movement. It does not have to be very intense. It's fine for those of you who want to be intense. I love to do intense exercise. And I also regulate my nervous system every single morning on the foam roller. I roll on balls almost every day to really help me to soothe my system. And these very simple exercises are amazing in maintaining your health, in maintaining your bladder health, your bowel movements, your digestive system. Also, it calms your mind because you stop doing and you just simply relax into doing very gentle movements. So maybe that this week you go out and you get a hula hoop. Maybe, Sabi, you and your mom can go and get a hula hoop and practice the water hula hoops and really start to engage with your spine and start to see what happens with your organs. Also, you are hydrating your entire nervous system. So there is nothing bad about interacting with your spine. And what also happens is if you're hydrated in your spine, you tend to have a much taller and grounded posture. Movement does that for us. Sabi is asking, for people having a scoliosis, your explanations might explain why some organs can feel more fragile, right? For instance, the guts. Then it's even more important to work on the spinal cord. Yes. So this is a very good point, Sabi, and I'll tell you a quick story. I had a young man, a young boy, really. He was 13 years old and he had severe scoliosis. And severe scoliosis means that let's say this is your spine, it rotates. Some people think that it's going to the side like that. Sometimes the spine does that, but mostly in severe scoliosis or in proper scoliosis, it rotates. So you can imagine I have this, let's say my zipper is my spine and it's rotating. It's rotating. It's going to take along with it all of the tissue of my organs, right? It's not just your spine that's rotating. Everything is attached to your spine. So when the spine rotates, your entire internal system goes with it. So this mother brings her 13-year-old son to see me to help him to release the stress and the pressure in his back because he was having pain in his back. But what had happened is he had not gone to the bathroom healthily for years. He was massively blocked in his intestines. And consequently, he tended to not eat enough. So he was never really hungry. His entire system was deregulated. So he came to see me. This is some years ago. This young man, they had gone to the hospital, and the spine surgeon had suggested that he get a surgery so that he can get some discs fused. But at 13 years of age, you're in a time of growth, croissance. So to have a surgery at that level for a 13-year-old, now I'm no surgeon, but according to how the body works, that could be a pretty intense surgery because he's still growing and he now has these plates into his back. Anyway, so I suggested to the mother, I said, why don't you let him come and see me for a few sessions prior to making that decision? Well, I will tell you that I think after his second session, so he came to see me the first time, he had some relief. He came to see me a second time. And that very night after his second session, his mother called me panicked. And she said to me, Anne-Marie, he cannot stop pooing. He's been on the toilet for an hour and he's pooing. And so what happened was, exactly to your point, his intestines were completely rotated with the spine. But I did not work on his spinal column because of scoliosis. I worked on the front of his body to create space and to hydrate the tissue and to release the attachment at the rotational point of the spine. And so what happened was he went home and he pooed for days in a row, emptied himself out, and then consequently, he started to eat again. He was able to actually eat. He was actually able to feel hunger, is what he expressed to me. He had not been hungry in years, and he was 13. And so that's one of the examples. So thank you for posting that, Sabi. That's exactly right. So your rotation in scoliosis will affect all of your organs. And finally, Sabi, you say, when you speak about the hula hoop exercise, I think about the Mauritian Sega dance in which the spine moves quite much. Thank you for your precious teachings. That's awesome. Yeah. So I don't know about the Sega dance, but I'm going to look it up now. So what we want, it's also Hawaiian, right? So we want to move our bodies in this rotational pattern and try to go in both ways. And even if you don't get a hula, try to do this exercise. Try to move your body from one direction. Ooh, I can feel it releasing in my body already. And then I just want to include my neck, right? Oh, because it feels so good. All right, my friends, we're coming to the end of our time. Thank you. Thank you for being with me. If you're here and you are on YouTube and you could not comment, please create a YouTube account for yourself. It's very easy to do. In fact, I'm going to post a little video about how to do that on our private Facebook group page so that you might build an account on YouTube and you can interact as we were doing before. So I just want to say thank you. I hope that today was helpful. Next week, we continue with Women's Her Story. And of course, we will have another class on mind-body connection, mind-body alignment. And if there's anything you would like to hear me talk about this month, in reference to women's health, to Women's Her Story Month, please let me know in the comments. You can also respond to me on the Facebook group page. If you enjoyed today's session, please subscribe to my YouTube channel, share the channel with others who you think might benefit from this information. And if you know anyone who's interested in mind-body alignment, they're curious, they want to know more about it, I offer 30-minute complimentary sessions for people to reach out to me and ask whatever questions they want in reference to mind-body alignment. Thank you. I send you love. I send you peace. I send you a lot of undulations this week. Go and undulate your body. Have fun. Have a great time. And I will see you next week. Bye for now. Thank you.